Welcome to It's a Parent Podcast, a show about how our parents shaped us, who we are because of it, and what we're going to pass down to our kids. I'm your host, June Chung. Today's guest is Kathleen Kim. She is the puppeteer who performs as Jiyoung on Sesame Street, is an actor and producer, and has a 9-year-old daughter. I wanted to talk to Kathleen, or as I know her, as her close friend, Kathy. Not only because she's funny, but to me, she seems open and resilient despite some big life-changing events in her life, like a fire at her apartment and fighting through breast cancer. I'm amazed by her optimism and cheer. Here she is, Kathy Kim.
Oh, what a lovely introduction. Thanks, June. Thanks for
Yeah, you're
having me.
welcome. Of course. I wanted to have you on, like I said in the intro, because one, you're pioneering in the Korean American landscape as a performer. So despite how you feel about it, because you are humble, I feel that.
Because we're Asian.
We are Asian and it's ingrained in us.
Yep.
I find you really inspiring, and you're putting yourself out there in a way more and more. So just exposing yourself to people out there, which is so cool. Telling your story and just making it more regular for people to see people like us, I think, in any space, which is very fun to see. But starting off, I just wanted to know where you grew up and what your family was like.
First of all, I thought when I saw the title, It's a Parent, I thought it was like a take on, I didn't realize that it was like a parent, like APPARENT. I thought it was like how you say it's a boy or it's a girl.
Yeah, no,
it's a parent. Oh, is it both?
It's both. It's both. See, right there, you got it.
So clever. Also, I just need to commend you first before we even start this, that you have a 6-month-old and you just started parental leave and you're starting a podcast. Like, how?
I'm crazy.
You're nuts. I'm like, barely had time to shower, and any time that I had to myself was for Netflix or my phone. So I give you so much credit.
Thank goodness baby is sleeping on schedule. And something I realized through baby care and through thinking through this podcast and my parents themselves, like my mom works a lot. My parents works a lot. And I have taken that on, and I've realized I'm not very good at playing by myself or like enjoying time by myself. So I have to find kind of like work to do. So I enjoy this, right? I enjoy talking to people, but through it, like it's something to do for some reason to me. Like I can't talk to baby. Like I can't talk to Penelope in a way that's all day. Hey, how's it going? Like I can't do that inner monologue and talking to a baby. So
yeah,
I guess I found a project to do.
And I'm sure we'll get to that after, but like nobody talks about how lonely those first few months feel. Like you're so wrapped up in the magic of it, but also it's just, especially I'm sure for your wife, like in the first couple months, if she was on maternity leave, it's just like, oh my God, it's great. And you don't get a second to yourself, but there's still like a boredom and a loneliness to it. But yeah, she'll start. I mean, like even now my daughter's 9, like, it's just we find new ways to connect and talk and create together. It's so much fun. But I will go back to your question. So I grew up, I am a Queens, New York girl. My parents moved here from Korea in like the mid 70s. And so I was born in Flushing Hospital, which I feel like most New York City Korean people were also born at Flushing Hospital. And so, yeah, I was, I don't know, typical first, well, I guess it's technically second gen, typical second gen, firstborn, play by myself, learned to speak English watching Sesame Street because we mostly spoke Korean. And then my brother came along and then we moved out to Long Island. But after becoming somewhat of a grown-up, I've been in New York City ever since.
And family structure-wise, you have your brother, mom and dad?
Mom and dad are super healthy and active right now. Finally enjoying retirement, but like doing all the Korean old people things of just like going on walks, going hiking, playing golf, gardening, all that sort of fun stuff. So I'm very lucky that they're very healthy and strong still.
Any grandparents in the picture?
What's that?
Not now, but at the time when you were growing up.
Well, let's see. My parents were they're both one of five, but most of them were in Korea.
Hmm.
We did have my dad's mom, or Xiaomini, lived with us for a little bit. But otherwise I didn't know either of my grandfathers. One passed I think right before they got married. And the other one, my dad is like a escaped North Korea as like a little one. And
Wow.
so his father, it's a long story, but through the war, he didn't grow up with his dad. Um but yeah, so didn't have my grandparents. Mostly just would visit my mom's mom like once in a while when we would go
Mm-hmm.
visit Korea. um but no, it was like my dad's mom for a good chunk of our childhood. Yeah.
Now, I know you have a character based on your father, based on your dad.
I do.
That's a puppet. And I think I know the answer, but I was just wondering who you feel an affinity to between your dad and mom as far as who you relate to more? Or is it because your dad's a fascination, that's why you talk as a puppet through him?
Oh, that's funny. So I have this. He's brand spanking new, like with being on Sesame Street. I get asked, especially like in the Asian sphere, like we're just
Hmm.
not used to having stuff, and so people like, I it feels weird to say, but like I feel like I've been like honored at like events and even just like fundraising galas or whatever. Just like
Hmm.
there's always like some awardee and a speech, and it's like fun to bring on someone who has introduced the first Asian American Muppet on Sesame Street. And so I get invited to like a lot of these sort of spaces, and I often get asked like if I could bring Jiyoung, my Sesame Street Muppet character, with me. And people don't realize like I think they connect us to so closely together that they forget that I don't own her. She's like
Ah.
Sesame Street's IP.
Hmm.
And so I realized like I needed to I'm like, I should have like a puppet like that's my own, that I own. And so it's my dad. This puppet is my dad, but he's in a bear suit, so his name is Dad in a Bear Suit. And
How'd
he's
you think
really
of that
just,
name?
I don't know. Oh, I will tell you exactly how. Actually, is that my dad's just a character. He's very funny. He's very like shoot from the hip. He says whatever he wants to. He's very much the opposite of me, and that like I overthink everything, and he's very like, yeah, no problem. Oh, so easy. Okay, why
Yeah.
not? Like it's always been like that for him. And so he's a bit of a character. There's like just like a wealth of stories about him. And we didn't realize this until like our young adulthood. Me and my brother were like, we had just amassed all these like stories about my dad. And sometimes we would just like come up with scenarios with my dad in them that would be made funnier if we visualized him in a bear suit for some reason. And so we would like text them to each other or say them to each other. We'd be like, oh, dad in a bear suit falling asleep on the couch to watching a documentary on bears on Nat Geo, or like dad in a bear suit like flipping somebody off like in traffic, but he's got like little cute mitten hands, and so we're like, oh,
Yeah.
dad in a bear suit. So we just like toss these like scenarios to each other, and that's how dad in a bear suit was just like always a thing in the back of our minds. Like it was just like a private joke.
If I could
But
pitch something to you,
yeah.
there's a nursery rhyme of the three bears. That's
Oh,
a Korean nurse. Yeah.
kumsemari가.
Yeah.
Yeah.
한집에서. And then
한집에서.
and then later it says 아빠 곰 엄마 곰 애기 곰
애기 곰.
아빠 곰은 뚱뚱해, and which essentially translates to dad bear is a big fat, like bear. It's like daddy bear is fat.
Yeah.
And then Amma bear is nice, like nice and
Yeah. Slim,
slender and slim. And then Eggy woman is
cute,
cute.
right?
So, the dad bear gets thrown under the bus real hard in that song.
It's such a Korean thing though to be like, what is like a main takeaway characteristic that we can assign to? We should do their weight. It's so freaking Korean because it's like, well, daddy bear's fat, mama bear is slender, and
but
baby bear is cute.
Dad in a bear suit doing a montage of working out, trying to change the song, and then he's like this weight's not coming off.
Oh my God, that's so good. Oh, I'm writing that down. That's a great idea. But yeah, no, so like I had Dad in a Bear Suit. And I don't know. I had my friend Spencer Lott make him, who has like, he's also a Sesame Street puppeteer. One of the biggest things he did was he built the puppets and trained Tom Hanks for the Fred Rogers movie, It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. But anyway, so I had him build me this puppet, and I didn't really know what to do with it. I just like wanted something that was my own. And then I got asked to do like a bit at like a variety show, Disorientalism, where it's like all Asian American acts, like singers and dancers and stand-up comedians. And BD Wong was there the night that I did it, reading like naughty poetry, which was hilarious. And I did Dad in a Bear Suit. I'm like, all right, I guess I do this now. But yeah, no, he's really based on just like over the years, like I've just told these stories about my dad. And a couple times I've sort of like channeled him for these characters. And I realize he's a character that I know inside and out, even if I'm like speaking from like, you know, like as him, making stuff up, or, you know, I can guess like how this Dad in a Bear Suit version of my dad would react in any situation, which is like such a freeing thing as like a character, you know, performing a character. So that's where it came from. I mean, like growing up, typical Korean girl, you know, I was
what can you unpack that? What is typical for you?
Man. Yeah. I mean, well, I don't want to say typical. I definitely was atypical in a lot of ways, hence me being a puppeteer and not like, I don't know, working in finance or, you know, being hot and married. Okay, no, I'm like talking like smack on Korean women, and that is not cool. But it is like the stereotype of like, you know, and that's what all of our immigrant parents wanted for us, to just stay the well-trodden path, because like, you know, there was this feeling of like they hadn't fully adopted the American like individualism, capitalist like way. Like when they came here, they're just like, we are not here. Like we don't really belong here. And so we got to play by their rules and work twice as hard to get half as much. But like, if we just do what other Koreans have done, you know, that will lead to your success. And really, that's all we want, is for you to, you know, 먹고 살다, you know, 살지, like you have to like live and, you know, eat and just scrape and survive, you know. And if you could be successful, great. But to be happy and creatively fulfilled, like that's not on the plate like at all. And so
outside of like career and livelihood, because that I would say that is typical, because that's, you know, the message is let's have our kids survive in this country while we're here. Yeah. I was wondering on a personal level, like home life. I know that you went to church growing up, just in the interactions between people and you and your brother and your parents. I was just wondering like what kinds of lessons they've passed down, or what kind of personality traits.
Oh man, I'm like
what are the words that describe your dad and your mom? You said straight to the hip for your dad and very forthright.
I mean, for me, you know, like my parents' generation, they were not about like they were not about gentle parenting, or I don't know. Like sometimes my daughter, like she'll get mad that we haven't played that day, or, you know, I'm like, do you know my mom never played with me, you know? And she'll get so, she's like, wait, I get to play today. And I'm like, girl, like I'm busy, you know, or, but it just goes to show like she expects it, you know, because we play and we're present and we talk, and it's amazing. Like she, you know, we have like real conversations, and she really lets me in. And I think she tells me things I definitely wouldn't have like thought to talk to my parents about, you know. And it's, I say typical, but I think typical for me, like I'm like Zennial, I guess, which is like between a Gen X and like a millennial. And yeah, my parents' generation, like it was different. My mom was like typical Korean mom in that she was hypercritical of me, hypercritical about, you know, my achievements, about my physical appearance, about whatever it is that I projected to be perceived by the outside world, i.e. the ladies at church who would see me and then judge her by, you know, however I was, you know. And so I guess like we interacted more, but I don't know if I would say that we're closer. My dad was like the funny one in the group. He's like, he's He's just funny. And in Korean, like at church meetings or like with family friend vacations, like he was known as like the funny guy. Like it's not going to be a fun party if like, if Kathy's dad's not going to be there.
Mr. Kim isn't there.
Yeah, Mr. Kim's not there. And like
is it like is he like Kim Kwon-sa님?
He's not a Kwon-sa님. He's just a Chipsanim. He's not. He has no sights on.
There's so many Korean adults from church whose names I don't know. They're just last name and then title,
or their kid's name and then dad. Yes, like Jun Appa.
Yep.
Like Jun's dad. We don't know names.
Nope. But so, he was the life of the party.
He was the life of the party, but in English, in very well spoken, articulate in Korean, in English, he's just kind of like understands his limitations in English. So it's all very like blunt, and just like simple, which is, a great way to communicate. But he was also like, I don't know, like we were not affectionate. There was a story of like, I was a young adult. My dad, we were going through like hard times financially, and in like in the time of like a span of a year and a half, my dad lost his brother, sister, and then his mom. And he was going, when his mom passed, we were going through a rough time, and he was like packing and headed out the door to the car in the driveway. And I was like, I want to say something. I'm like, maybe I need to say, how I feel.
How old are you?
Maybe I'm like 20.
Oh, okay.
And I run out the door and I go, my mom doesn't do it. Appa. And he goes, oh. I'm like, I love you. And he went, and he turned and he went, okay. And then he like just going right into the door, right into the car, slammed the door. He's like not processing that. And so he was like a good dad in a lot of ways. Like he planned vacations for us. He like always planned outings. He always wanted us to have like experiences. Took us out to different kinds of dinner, but no I love yous, no hugging, no recognition of feelings, just like why are you crying? Like, what do you, what do you mean? Like, why is this so important to you? But he was distant in a lot of ways emotionally, but that's because that's his generation,
When he asked, why are you crying? Does that mean it's his own way of identifying that you're upset, or is it really just to stop you from crying?
That's a great question. Because it's like, I think like when I was a little kid crying, little kids just cry. And he, would just do the Korean parent thing of like, tuk, or like, ujima, like don't cry or stop, But the one time that sticks out in my mind is like, we were at the family table. And here's the thing, as like the Nuna, I'm a Nuna. Like I and other Nunas can relate to this. Like, and that means like older sister of like a younger brother. And it's like, as the eldest girl and the only girl in my family, like you become the sort of like translator, the hub, the communication hub through which everybody else talks. And through, like I will translate my hurt and my concerns of my mom to my brother. And my brother would like voice his frustrations or something with my dad, and then I would translate to him, and not like literally translate from Korean to English, but like be the sort of like buffer between everybody, because like no one knows how to, be vulnerable and share raw feelings like that. So the one instance that I'm thinking of is like one time where the four of us are at dinner, sitting down to dinner, and without getting too much of it because it's my brother's drama, but he was upset that my parents weren't like supporting him in something. And instead of standing up for himself, I was the one being like trying to tell them all the arguments that he had told me. And instead of like kind of like fighting for himself, I did all of that. And he then was crying. And clearly because like this thing that he wanted support over, like where he wanted to go to school and what he wanted to study, was like very important to him, clearly. And he was having trouble communicating that and having trouble having them not see him. And that was, why are you crying? Like that was my dad, what he reacted to, instead of being like, oh. And that's been like a theme. Like that's been a theme. Like I remember like, this is getting really deep, but talk about critical mom. I remember my mom taking my mom to see the wedding dress that I had picked out for myself. And she walked me back to work and then said, like, you can't buy that dress. It makes you look fat and short. And I was like, Mom, you have been so critical. Because of you, it's because of you I've never felt beautiful a day in my life. Like, can't you
What age are you that?
Old. I mean, like, I was like 31, you know,
Okay, yeah.
like in my early, I was getting married, you know.
Well, the
And
thing is, I just don't think enough people stand up to their parents after, you know, so many years of criticism to voice that kind of thing.
Yeah, you kind of just like accept it and say, hey, my mom, it comes from a different time, you know, like it's a different culture, you know, like she wanted me so badly to get like sangapu and kosu, so like, you know, cosmetic surgery on my face, which sounds like horrifying, I think, to Western people, but for Korean people, like it's not as like, not, you know, it's a little bit more normalized.
Not taboo.
Yeah. Right. It's not as taboo. And so, but you know, you grow up and you realize, like, I love my parents. They wanted the best for me. And that's not always what I had wanted for myself. And I have to accept that they're, you know, just people, humans, not perfect.
But sorry, I cut you off after you said that to your mom. What did she say? How did she react?
So she was like, you know, and I told her, I was like, can't you just lie to me just this one time and say that I look nice in this dress? And she was like, and she was just like looking at me like, not like, oh God, like, why is she crying? And not, oh God, I know why I hurt her. She was just looking at me like wide-eyed, like with so much curiosity on her face, and just like, I don't know what's happening, why I cry, you know? And she said, well, if I'm not going to tell you the truth as your mom, who is? And I was like, wow, you know, it's so Korean. And so, but not in like a malicious way, in a truly honest, like, I don't know why you're crying. Like, I don't understand it. And so it's just been a lot of like, you know, obviously they've taught me things, but like the sort of emotional intelligence, or even like social, emotional, interpersonal sort of relationships, like I feel like that I kind of had to teach myself. It's so funny because is this the podcast? I thought we were going to be talking about being a parent, but
no, the podcast for me is I want guests to reflect on how their parents raised themselves. So like how their parents, the things you remember about them, like this part, that part. And then I wanted to unpack how you've gone through it as an adult / person now. And then through that, how are you going to transfer or not transfer any of those qualities to your kid or your own self? Like, how are you pushing forward through that if you haven't developed like any resilience to it yet? Like, how do you want to move forward with it? So
I see.
I just think, you know, it's past, present, future, kind of thinking about parenting. And, you know, I've been reading this Mr. Rogers, like his wisdom of truths, and yeah, it's just generations being passed through each person, whether it's honoring or pushing away from it if they don't like it anymore.
I mean, I don't want to make it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but your story about, you know, like wanting to react, saying I love you to dad, like you did it in a moment of, I want to care for him. I want to give him an emotional hug. So let me do this for him before he loses someone else before hearing it. So there's that. My dad was going through prostate cancer treatment and was going through a surgery that wasn't too serious, but it's enough where it's like anesthesia, like you're going through anesthesia, something, God forbid, something happened. It could be it, right?
Yeah, surgery.
So
scary.
I'm getting super worked up on this phone call. That's just a phone call, not even video. My wife is sitting next to me. She sees like I'm getting heated. And then I did the same thing. I love you. And then my whole family's on the line because we're all checking in before the surgery the next day. And then he just goes, yeah, I know. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. So, but this is after seeing him cry at my brother's wedding, because I was giving a very emotional speech. I didn't see it, but people told me that he cried because he saw me really blubbering. Like my dad sort of teared up,
Wow.
right? And
That's
so
huge.
yeah, so it's like, okay, he's got a soft spot, all these things, and I wish I saw it. I think he did one of these kind of like look away, like he talked to me
Wow.
after, like, I can't believe you cried. Like, what? I didn't know you were so this person or whatever.
Oh.
And then your story about you being the buffer between the whole family.
Yeah.
Apparently that's been my brother, and I didn't know because as a parent,
Oh.
well, this is funny because me and my wife is very communicative with her family. Like every day, talk to her mom and dad. Like
Wow.
keep in touch. Everyone knows everything. They're in a family group chat. Everyone's in
Mm.
everyone's business. It's a
Mm.
lot, but it's also fantastic. So
Mm.
I was trying to adopt that with my family, who's passive aggressive, who doesn't talk, who talks in code.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to get more opinions from my parents about things like, oh, this family situation is about to happen with Thanksgiving. Should we do this or that? They're like, it hasn't happened yet. Why are you talking about this? It's not even a thing yet. Why are you so worried? And then my dad's like, ever since you became a parent, you're so worried all the time. I told my brother that, and he's like laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing so hard? Because he's like, you've told me all those things so that I could tell Amma and Appa all those things filtered through me. So they've never had to be up against any questions I have directly. So to suddenly be
Yeah. I think my
face to face
brother's
with it,
like,
they're, yeah.
yeah, I think my brother is like just starting to do that like now in our like late 30s and mid 40s. But like, yeah, they don't it's funny, like my dad also like at our wedding, you know, my white husband's family, they were all like, you know, crying. And I'm like, why don't you guys get like emotional? They're like, why cry? It's a happy
Yeah.
day. Like, you know, they don't really understand that. There are just certain things that like don't I don't know, like I was talking to a Korean friend who said that they were going to start saying like I love you to their mom, and the mom was like annoyed and would kind of never say it back or be like I know. And finally they confronted her and said like, you know, why don't you say it back, or why do you get annoyed? I'm just saying I love you. And their mom was just like, I know, like, you don't need to tell me. Like, why do you find it necessary? And it was this thing of like, you know, because like, again, like Korean parents, they show by doing and not
Yeah.
saying. And so
Yeah.
it's like, what about our relationship like makes you feel that like we don't love each other? Like, obviously we love each other. And I thought that was like a really beautiful way to put it, as opposed to being like, awkward and like running away.
That's right. Yeah.
But you know, they show by doing. My mom, like, yeah, did she ever say that's all right, Chian, you'll do better next time? Like, no. Like, but or like, but what do you want, or how did that make you feel? No, never.
No.
But you know, I don't know, like when I'm making dinner for my family, and every once in a while I'll do like a Korean dinner with like all the banchan and stuff. I'm like, my mom did this every
I
night.
know.
You know, like she made like, you know, an entree. And there was at least like one or two new panchans that we would sort of roll out throughout the week, and like a jjigae every single night. And I'm like, you know, and she worked. So it's like, it's not that like she had all this time, like she, but that's how she cared for us, was like,
Yeah.
you know, like she signed us up for classes. She was there at every like, you know, school concert. She showed up and she did the things. You know, she cut the fruit. She like, you know,
I think I don't know how you feel about your mom. I feel like I'm just discovering who she is.
I feel like, well, because you're how old? You're 30,
36.
36. I feel like because I'm a girl, maybe like, you know, we saw each other a little bit deeper earlier on. I wonder if that's the same
That's
for
good.
my brother as well, because he's about your age. No, that's not true. He's a little bit older. But yeah, they're complicated, and like again, they come from a generation where
it's not showy, you know?
no, you know, it's about serving the greater good within a patriarchy means like being quiet and serving without being asked, like knowing what is needed, and like and providing that before anybody has to ask. that's like, that's a good woman, you know?
It's like you're somehow the queen's courtesan, even to this day. Like that generation
Mm.
is like somehow this very swift moving person that knows everyone's
And it's strange. It's like it
stuff.
permeates, because I remember like you know, all my pretty much most of my Korean friends are people that I grew up in church with.
Hmm.
And like I remember as like young adults when we'd be hanging at each other's places or whatever, and we get like takeout and we hang out, just instinctually, nothing is said. It's just the girls start cleaning up
Right.
and clearing out the plates and like doing the dishes, and nothing is said. And we all like are modern liberal progressive people, but it was just like this weird, um it's just the culture that was sort of like, it just like permeates. But that's the role of it's the unspoken role and worth of a woman and a mom and a wife. And so yeah, I think, no, no, no. So that was something that I both adopted but also had to fight against, because like I didn't was never a typical girly girl, and that's where we butt heads a lot. Like,
Mm.
Yeah.
So your personhood now as a something-year-old, what was easy to fight back against? It seems like the criticism, the beauty standards. I don't know where you got your confidence to talk back to your mom like that, but like where did you, because I have a friend that has a very critical mom, but I don't think has approached her and like, you're being super critical. And now I see that in her as being a person that's very hypercritical of others in her life.
Mm.
So I'm wondering if you've
I
noticed
mean,
it coming up, or if you've been able to. I mean, that's to say, if you think being critical is a bad thing. That, I mean, it sounds like it can be, but
yeah, it's good and it's bad.
yeah.
I think the way that, I don't know. I definitely have heard of way more toxic relationships. You know, I think like when you say like having the courage to talk, like kind of clap back at my mom, like it was not like a normal occurrence. Like this was like, and again, I feel like this is also a very Korean thing of just like suppressing until it comes out like in a big way.
Mm.
And I think that I, as a kid, I think I might have like said like, mom, like when you say that, like it makes me feel like you think that I'm ugly. And she would say like, no, not ugly. It will just help a little bit. It'll just, you know, and she really thought that like just doing these little like tweaks, like getting a nice haircut, you know, or wearing you know, nicer clothes, obviously not the same as getting cosmetic surgery, but in her mind it was. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like it would kind of lead to, and again, it's kind of like a Korean thing of just like it will lead to better success. And like, I don't know, but for a long time it was just like, that's just my mom, and I'm not going to take it personally. This is just like her belief and what she thinks is best for me, and I can take, you know, what I agree with and leave the rest. But I think it just came out because it was like, I'm getting married. Like the
Oh
buying a
wow.
wedding dress has been the most stressful, hateful thing. Cause I can't, like, it's like therapy. But like, I remember I have this like memory of like going shopping for my prom dress, my senior
Mm.
prom dress, and having just like going into the dressing room with like just like armloads of dresses. And my mom's tired too from walking around. So she's sitting on the bench and there's like 3 full length mirrors. And as I try every single one on, she's like pointing out literally every flaw on my body.
Mm.
And so that's why, like, going to like wedding dress shopping, I'm like, I don't want my mom there. And so the whole idea was like, I'm going to go with my friends, pick one out, and then get her blessing. And then even that backfired. And she's like, you look fat and short in it. You can't wear it. And the thing is, like, at the time, like, I'm like 5'5", 6". Like, I'm not short.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was, you know, like, I'm 30. I was like pretty slim, you know, and so it's not accurate at all. But like, you know,
There's
yeah,
always something
it
more
wasn't
to.
a strength. It
Yeah.
was just it was more like a breaking where I'm like, I have to say something because this is my one chance. Like, if not now, if you can't tell me I
Mm.
look beautiful in my wedding dress, then I like, what, you know, can't you just lie to me just this one time, you know? But yeah, you know, over like our adult years, especially becoming a parent, I will say, like, as I'm a breast cancer survivor, as you know, and like going through all of that, that also brought us closer together in a weird way where it's like, after I went through breast cancer,
She's like, your hair needs to grow
yeah.
back immediately.
No, but that's when it was like suddenly, I mean, all growing up, like you don't need to eat that. That has too much sugar. You don't need seconds on that. And again, I cannot stress this enough. I've never been overweight in my life. Like, but it's just the, anyway, but breast cancer, it changed so much in our relationship because like, and we've gone through like a lot, I guess, a family, but it was that was scary, and that's when we started saying I love you. That's when we started hugging hello and goodbye. Food tastes like you just don't want to eat when you're going through chemo. But she would like take me out to lunch and just try to keep encouraging me to eat. Like that was like not something that would happen like, in my adult years. And she tells me like so much more often. And like I'm like 45. I'm like I've been through cancer. I'm on like post-cancer medications that kind of like do stuff to my hair and my skin. I don't feel cute. And like but my mom has never told me that like you look so nice, you look so pretty today. She's not told me that more often than she does now. And I don't know, I think it's like it comes from like a place of not being so hung up on what other people say and how other people might judge her as a mom by how I present myself outwardly, because I wasn't like one of the popular cute girls. I was like a weirdo, growing up. And I think it's also from, I don't know, having a sense of like what's essential and what's important. And, so that stuff changes too. And it's like, when my mom was raising me as like a bitter, insecure, depressed teenager, how she was like younger than me, and still figuring it out in a new country, like I'm new to her, whatever, dealing with who knows what, like stresses of being an immigrant and, raising two kids. And I don't know. I think like a lot of like becoming a parent is like also, or just even becoming an adult is just giving your own parents grace for being humans and doing their best. Cause that's what any of us could hope to do.
But it sounds like, am I right in saying that they didn't burden you and your brother with, look what we've done for you? You should appreciate all this. Like they've just stayed the steady course.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think, no, I mean, on a very, I think, average parental level of like, are you not going to eat that? Or like, we like, that costs money. You're not going to use it. Like very basic, like, stuff, but not like, no, they just put one foot in front of the other. I feel like, at least my dad,
Yeah.
like he's had a lot of like, hiccups along the course of his life, and he just keeps moving forward. He doesn't like let it bog him down, and I wish to be more like that.
I mean, that's a perfect segue into everything that's happened to you. And I feel like when I saw, your apartment, it went up in fire and your stuff was destroyed. And then you have had breast cancer, yet you keep going. So I feel like you may have already caught on to what he was given.
That's kind to say. I think that like breast cancer, people will often say you're so brave. You're so brave. And I'm like, no, like I don't. And other cancer survivors will agree that there is no courage in it. There's no choice. You have to
Yeah.
keep moving forward.
Yeah.
There's no choice. And with the fire, that was awful. And like there's no like you know mitigating. It was really terrible and chaotic. And I don't know. It was just like we just felt like we were drowning for like weeks after. And but again, you keep moving forward because you have to. And we have our daughter, and every ounce of positivity or emotional energy we had, we saved for her to try and make it seem like it was fun that we're staying in a hotel, or that it was fun that we were going to IKEA for like the 10th time to like, get new stuff for our apartment. Like, and you do it because you have to. And then it kind of like makes you think of like all the other times that like your parents had gone through something hard and they hid it from us, And sometimes like I would be resentful of that. Like, why didn't you tell us that was happening, But you understand it's like they wanted to protect you. Just like, and you'll see it as Penny grows up. Like, I feel like our parents, my parents at least, it was all about protection, and shielding us from stuff. And I don't know if that was always to my benefit. Like, I wish they let me make mistakes, or they let me in on family history, or even things that had happened to my dad. Like he almost had like a heart attack one time, and they rushed into the hospital, and they were able to give him like a aspirin or whatever it is that like, stops like an early heart attack. And we didn't know for years, like just like things like that. And I feel like a lot of like Korean second gens probably have a story like that of like, and I had no idea that like, I didn't know my dad was North Korean until I was in middle school. I'm like, why don't you tell us? They're like, why do you need to know? I'm like, this is our family, And so like, I think about that where I wonder also too, like, how much do I want to protect her. I want her to still feel optimism when she looks out into like what she wants to be when she grows up, or what kind of world she lives in. But I also want to prepare her, and I don't want to sort of sunshine lollipops her until she gets to high school. And it's like,
back to one point that you said that you were a weirdo, and when I see stories and reels of your daughter, I think in the best sense she's also a weirdo. Because her sense of humor is so funny. Like, it's that like it's not A to B, it's A to J. Like, it's a little quirky, for better or for worse. It's so funny.
Thank you.
And when you said that you were a weirdo growing up, and your mom was super critical, like you said, but what was it about yourself you think that you were able to hold on to that as opposed to it getting sucked out of you?
I don't think it could have gotten sucked out of me. I think a part of it was tamped down and restricted a little bit. I wonder sometimes, like I came to Muppets really late. My first day of Sesame Street, I was 35 and pregnant with my daughter. And I look around, and even now I feel this insecurity where I'm like, I still kind of feel like one of the new guys, even though I'm like not 20 years old. But there are 20-something-year-olds coming up who are the new guys, who, by the way, told their mom that they wanted to be a puppeteer. And like, some of them, their parents are like, okay, great, we'll buy you fabric, we'll set up a camera, you can practice and go to these like, these like workshops or classes. And I'm like, and I wonder what that would have been like for me, like if my mom would have let my freak flag fly. Like anytime like I want to do anything creative that wasn't like something that her friends whose kids went to Ivy League colleges didn't put on their resumes, then it didn't matter. It's like things that like she only wanted me to pursue interests that like look good for colleges. And so doing, I don't know, drama or doing like community service, or like we had like a Martin Luther King club, where we tackled like social issues, and she's like, nah, like, and I think that like, I was nothing that my mom wanted me to aspire to. Like, I wasn't like super, like tall, skinny, fashionable, all honors classes, like quiet, demure, 얌전해. Like, I wasn't any of those things. And all the stuff that I thought made me a fun person and who made me me was stuff that my mom would just be like, why do you need to do that? Like, why do you have to laugh that loud? Or why do you have to,
I'm curious if you can ask her if she was like you more than she realizes, and is like, you're more similar than not growing up. Not her.
No. She was the pretty girl. My mom's gorgeous.
Okay.
Like, if you saw like a picture of her, you'd not believe how old she is. And she's always been like that. And so, and that's like, it's like, but this was my value. And so that will be yours.
She got the other daughter. You know what I mean?
I look Well, no, I'm a combination of them, but I'm definitely no, personality wise, I'm both. I definitely overthink like my mom, but I think the humor and being able to talk in front of people I get from my dad.
So just closing this out, we're almost at time. What's something about yourself that you don't quite love that you hope not to pass down to Quinn?
Oh, oh, there's so much. There's so much, but one that like I've been seeing like unfold in real time and I'm like, no, don't do this, you know. I get so scared of making a mistake that sometimes I won't try. And I feel like that's like a characteristic of Gen Alpha in general. Like everything comes so easy to them, everything's so instant for them. Whether it's like pressing a button on a video game and like jumping super high, or ordering something on Amazon and it shows up at your front door like the next day. Everything is instant. And so there's no like, well, that didn't work. Well, I'm just going to keep trying, you know? But on top of that, I just have that in my personality. It's like a procrastinating perfectionist where it's like, well, until I can make sure that it's going to be perfect, I shouldn't start until but it's never going to start perfect. You have to just start, period, and see what works and what doesn't work. And like that, I think not being encouraged to make my own mistakes, to be like, no, let me do that for you. That was very much my mom. And being so afraid of what other people might think if you know, like, I don't know, like I loved playing piano growing up, but like I hated playing in front of people. I just wanted to play for myself because I enjoyed it. But it's like, I was so like making a mistake, other people might just move along and keep going. It really was hard on me. And so it paralyzes you from doing stuff. And I can see a little inkling of that with Quinn. And I just like want to keep like encouraging, like, it's okay. It's okay. Like make a mistake or just do it and nobody will care. Literally nobody's thinking about you more than you're thinking about you.
Are you making mistakes now as an adult and showing Quinn?
Ooh. Yeah, that's another thing that like I'm trying to find the balance of like, you know, how vulnerable am I as her authority allowed to be to her without, you know what I mean? Like, I think we show mistakes and when we play, there's no like straight path in humor. And so like, I don't know, like this morning, she kept like bugging me to get out of bed. I'm like, how come you don't bug daddy to get out of bed? She's like, you do funny voices. She collects like fox stuffies. And so we had like 4 fox stuffies on the couch. And I was like, yeah, you like funny voices? Maybe I'll never do a funny voice again. She's like, no. And I'm like, look, hi, I'm Foxy number 1. I'm adventurous and brave, and I like pie. Hello, I'm also Foxy. I'm the coquettish one. I'm shy, teehee. I also like pie. You know, like, it was just like, anyway, but it was just like, it was dumb. I don't know. We do a lot of dumb stuff. And I think the dumb is good training grounds. We could be vulnerable. And I think that's where the humor comes from, is not so much like a genetic thing, but like, that is one place where we're constantly just doing dumb stuff, but accepting each other and maybe building on that. It's kind of like finding like a good improv partner. It's like me and my daughter will just like play, and sometimes a dumb voice will come, or sometimes, but something brilliant might come out of that. And so that's one way. I mean, we can only like encourage her and give her a safe space to make those mistakes. And that's what we're trying to do right now. But I'm trying to keep mindful of it, because as a parent, it's so hard to resist the urge to just do it for them, you know, or like be like, no, I got it. It's just like, she's like, it's not like I'm, you know, even just like opening a bag and being like, it's opening crooked. I'm like, that's okay. You know, like, I mean, I have to fight the urge to be like, oh, let me just do that. So like, you know, it doesn't rip apart. I'm like, that's fine, you know, or like she's like, I can't get it open. She's like, just keep, it's like resist the urge to open the jar for her. Just let her figure out different ways to do it. And I have to fight it myself of being critical, of being hovery, or, you know, but I'm trying to. And it's like just acknowledging and recognizing it, I think, is like a good first step for any parent. Because again, none of us are perfect.
And what's something you love about yourself? Like really tap
Ooh.
yourself on the back that you hope Quinn adopts.
Ooh. I'm going to have to think about this.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is something I had to develop. But the idea of being a present and good friend. And I feel like she's already, it's hard. Like at 9, you're still, a bit self-centered, but you could see her sort of like, you could see the empathy and the compassion like starting to come out. And I've already started to see it, and it makes me really proud. Is like, what it is, June? It's like the stuff that I had to learn by myself, like hard learned lessons. She seems to be adopting a lot quicker. Like one moment that like really made me emotional was like I she draws, she's a great artist. And I
I
think
love
she's like,
those pictures.
thank you. I again, critical mom, but like when it comes to her comics and stuff and her like jokes and stories, like she surprises me. It's great. But she was like 5 or so. There was like a picture that she had drawn on the fridge. And I was like, Quinn, did you draw that? She's like, yep. I'm like, I love it. The colors are amazing that you use. And look at that line work. It's so good. I really like that drawing a lot. And she said, thanks, Mom. And then hopped away. Like, and that moment, I've never been able to take a compliment in my entire life. And again, it is the Asian thing, but again, it is just like a debilitating like insecurity that I've had my entire life. But it's like if somebody says like, hey, great job, I'd be like, I didn't really do anything, or that was the other guy, and it was terrible. If you really looked at it, it was not good. But the fact that she could just trust and absorb that compliment was honest and real, and then go about the rest of her day, I thought was beautiful. I went on a field trip. I like chaperoned a field trip of hers, and I got to see her interact, not just with like a best friend who's over play date, but within the context of the entire class. And I was so impressed with her because like you can see her making space, like being polite, but only really making space for the people who matter to her. And like there would be like boys or whatever, like trying to tease and try to, and she wouldn't get like frazzled by it. She'd just be like, doesn't concern me, even though they're like trying to tease them or whatever. And she's like, oh my God, aren't you cold? Do you want my scarf? Like you could see her like looking out and reaching toward like, for people who like deserve her space. And but making the extra step to care for them but it wasn't in a way of like, I don't know, because you see like those popularity hierarchies like start like coming up like at this age, but none of it, it was just like it was just every interaction was just genuine and present, and it felt like she had like a really strong inner compass that like told her like who to care for, who to be polite to, and who to not even like give attention to. And I feel like that was like, I've taken my whole life to learn who to, because you just like always want to be available and always want to help and always want to like give. And, especially as like an Asian woman, that's like how we were trained, of just like, no, you take it. Or can I do this for you? But that was really beautiful to watch as well. And so I feel like things that I like about myself aren't necessarily things that I was just like born to do, but things that like I kind of had to learn and train myself to do over like a long time. And those are like, and I talk about not wanting to make mistakes and stuff, but I guess like in terms of like emotional intelligence or like, social intelligence, those are things that just kind of happen invisibly, as you just navigate through life. And so I guess I could be proud of that, and proud that like apparently I've, given her, taught her to, I don't know, to embrace her own or recognize her own strength and her own heart, and protect her own heart. And that's pretty cool.
And to close us out, I'm trying to raise a daughter much like yourself, funny, resilient, all these special things, but also wondering if you had any parental advice you can give me to close us out here.
I guess I should have been prepared for this. I don't know. It's the most basic thing in the world, but it's just like, give yourself grace, because as long, there will be mistakes along the way. You're only human, but you love your daughter. You and your wife love your daughter more than anybody else in the world. And that makes you more qualified than anybody to do what's best for her. It's so simple, but that's pretty much it. And it's funny because it's like, I remember holding Quinn when she was Penny's age and thinking, who are you going to be? Like I'm looking at you and I know that a lot of who you are is like, we're going to look back and be like, she always did that, what is that going to mean? Or am I wrong? And like, it's both a comfort and like like anxiety to when you realize that your kid is just who they're going to be regardless. I look back at like things that Quinn would do as a baby. I'm like, she's always been this way, just like so cautious and very like observant and like, and it's like a comfort knowing that like, no matter what you do, you can't screw your kid up too much because they're already going to be who they're going to be.
Got it.
But like, so you just need to be there to kind of catch it and nurture it and show them how to navigate through life. But really, they're just going to be who they're going to be anyway. So you might as well just like encourage them to figure out what that is and how to be the best them.
Well, Kathy Kim, this has been a fantastic conversation. And it's apparent that you're doing great. So thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks, Gene. And, thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like what you heard, please subscribe and give us a 5-star review. It's Apparent Podcast is produced and edited by June Chung. The show logo was designed by Shabazzle, and the theme song was produced by Ish D.